Hi and welcome back to Milk and Mummies. I'm Rachel Addo, your host, and today I'm joined by someone whose work quietly shapes the way so many women consume stories online. Jolie Chilcott, Content Director at POPSUGAR UK. Jolie has spent over a decade in women's media, crafting conversations around trends, fashion and beauty, health and wellness, lifestyle, and now motherhood. Today, we're diving into motherhood, ambition, the myth of having it all, and how modern media is portraying or sometimes pressuring mums today. Let's get into it. Jolie, hi.
Hello.
Welcome. I don't know why my voice has gone high pitched, but it has. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, really, really, really good. Just getting ready for all things winter, cold, and maybe Christmas fun. But yeah, this is where I am right now.
Yeah, it's a hectic time of year.
For sure. So thank you so much for making the time and for coming down.
Thank you for asking me.
Jumping into it, before motherhood entered the chat, who was Jolie? Like, what drove you creatively and professionally?
That's a good question. I think before I was a mum, really career was kind of my entire identity, to be honest. I mean, rightfully or wrongfully, during my 20s, I worked at a tabloid newspaper. Yep. I worked my way up to the women editor, so I was in charge of the kind of female focus pages. And it was an amazing time working there. I learned so much, but it's a tough place to work. It's all consuming. No isn't really an option. So you're on your emails all of the time.
I see.
You know, even when you're not working, you're glancing at your emails, you're checking things. The news doesn't stop. As much as I didn't necessarily work directly on the news desk, it would have an impact in kind of what my pages were, etc., etc.
Okay.
So yeah, it did kind of rule my life. And I think at that time, as much as it's a lot and it's not for everybody, I didn't have responsibilities. I didn't have a baby to look after.
Yeah.
I could give it my everything. So I did that. I left. COVID then hit. I left, went freelance because I think COVID just made us all kind of reevaluate.
Yeah, work-life balance, right?
Work-life balance, exactly.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd kind of reached a bit of a ceiling there and that I'd achieved everything I wanted to achieve and I couldn't. It was a lot. It took up a lot of my time and my energy. And I am the sort of person who does try to give something 100%.
Amazing.
I don't have great work-life boundaries. And I think, it did make us reevaluate. And then I was due to get married. COVID cancelled my wedding.
Lovely.
And I think I was like, right, I think we need a bit of a reset.
Okay.
So I left. I went freelance for a little bit. And did some great things. I worked at various different magazines in the women's lifestyle department. I worked at ITV for a little bit on the daytime TV shows. Learnt loads and then got approached for the job at POPSUGAR. So I am now the content director of POPSUGAR UK, which is very exciting. It's a women's lifestyle website and we do loads of great stuff there as well. And then I was doing all of that, finally got married. In 2021 after 3 cancelled wedding dates.
Oh my gosh, right. Because of COVID or just
COVID? Yeah, not to the same man. I didn't ditch him and find 3 new husbands.
No.
It was, long story short, we were supposed to get married in March 2020.
Yeah.
So, no, April 2020.
Okay. So
3 weeks before the world shut down.
Yeah.
So that one got cancelled. We rescheduled for this September, but you could only have 30 people.
That's right. Yes, of course.
Rescheduled again for the following April. You could still only have 30 people because the vaccination rollout took a little longer than we expected. And then it kind of got to the point when I was like, if this 4th date doesn't happen, I can't go through this again. It was just such a kind of laborious process. So anyway, we did finally get married. It was still touch and go until kind of the day before, but again, not because I didn't want to marry him. He was great. But the world, the country had only really opened up kind of 2 or 3 weeks before.
Okay.
So our wedding was the first kind of big event people had had. So we did that.
Nice. Okay. That's great though for everyone. Like just something to just celebrate and just have things at ease. But also I can imagine people are still trying to, do we social distance? Do we not? Or what's this? Do we not?
I was so worried that one of us would get COVID the week before. And I was like, we can't have 100 people at our wedding if one of us got it. So it was still a bit of a precarious time. But did that. Then I got my job at POPSUGAR, so been working there. It's, again, really busy job. The nature of the industry that I'm in is busy. And then we knew we wanted to have a baby, decided to start trying. It didn't happen for us straight away.
Okay. Did that surprise you or not?
I'm quite a glass half empty kind of person. So I just kind of preempt. It always played on my mind that it might not happen for us straight away.
Okay.
It took a year for my mum to get pregnant, and she'd always been with me, and she'd always been very honest about that. So I just kind of assumed it would take a while. It might
take some time. Okay, fair enough.
I think it, and I was conscious of my age. Not that I was particularly old, but I think the media makes you feel like you hit 35 and
it's game over. Because I think once you're 30, you lose 90% of your eggs.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, if you start trying past your 30s, that is such shocking news. And you're like, wait, I'm sorry, what? And we go through, there's so much work and research and information about how not to get pregnant. When you're starting this process, you then have to kind of rewire your thinking, you start doing your research and all that kinds of stuff. So
absolutely. I think I published a piece before, this is back when I was at the paper, and it was really interesting about how in school and sex education, etc., is all about, absolutely not, especially for women, it's, you need to go out, you have a career, which, are not bad things, but I knew nothing about the actual logistics of it, with
the maths that are involved and the days and the ovulation. Yeah,
exactly. I didn't really know anything about that until we started trying, and then I was 35 and just conscious of this might take a while. And in the big scheme of things, it really wasn't that long. I think it was kind of 8 months or so.
Yeah, got you.
I know, and my heart goes out, and I'm in such a privileged position that I've got my daughter, and I know for some women it is so incredibly difficult, and I really, really feel for them. But and a very small percentage of that, I know how all-consuming it can be, and how it does kind of cloud every thought that you have.
No, it's true. It can.
But we were very fortunate that we did get pregnant, and then had our daughter in March 2024.
There we go.
Yeah. And now back at work and trying to do this mum life.
Balance and juggle and all the things. What did you imagine motherhood to be like? Does it look like, what do you think it was going to be like before you lived it?
Before I lived it, I knew it was hard. I did know. I think, again, my mum had been quite honest about, it changes things and etc.
I love that. My mum was like, it's not bad. She just wanted a grandbaby. Where are they? My mum has got 5 kids. She before my daughter, she only had 1 grandkid, and she was like, this is ridiculous. And basically, we're failing at life, essentially.
I love
so
that.
My mum was like, it's not too hard. It's not this. It's fine. I will help you. So that was the energy. So I'm very happy that you had a mum who was like, it's hard.
Well, do you know what? I think I scarred my mum and my dad because I was I'm still a terrible sleeper now, but I was a terrible sleeper as a baby. So I think my mum was always very honest in that, well, it is hard.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be difficult. And not difficult, I knew it was going to be magical. My childhood was filled with fairy tales and magic and,
very nice.
So I was really excited about that side of things. And I think you get to an age, well, I certainly got to an age, and I don't want to speak for everybody, where I've always loved things like Christmas, but I knew that having a child brings an extra element of magic and make believe that I guess that, the older you get a little bit more jaded with the world.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring, I thought it'd bring magic, and but I knew it would be hard. But I thought it would be hard on a very superficial level.
Got you. Okay.
I don't think I really, now I am a mum, understood the depths of the hormones and the emotional toll it takes and the tensions it puts in relationships. And I've always been a people pleaser. And I think before I had Mabel, my daughter, I knew that I wouldn't be able to do everything. I wouldn't be able to go to every event. I wouldn't be able to see every single friend like I do.
Yeah.
But I kind of didn't really anticipate just how much you have to prioritise and how much you have to suddenly, I can't be everything to everyone. And I didn't really anticipate or didn't think about that, I don't think, before I became a mum.
I did either. Not really. I didn't think about what I wouldn't be able to do, because I always knew I was going to be a mum. If it happened, fantastic. If it didn't, it didn't. But I always knew it would happen. And I always saw my baby with me. Like, my mum always described us as her handbag. So I was like, yep, my baby on my shoulder, like, off I go.
Yeah.
So that was just my expectation and assumption. But in terms of prioritizing and becoming everything to everyone, or how to negotiate time with your friends, your family, your partner, yourself, I didn't think about those things. I didn't know about those things. So I can sympathize.
I also don't think I really considered how important it is to look after yourself as well. I'd never factored time in, really. I was just a go. Yeah. I'd work, I'd go to an event, or I'd work and go to dinner with somebody, or I'd work and, it was just, I kind of lived my life on a bit of a hamster wheel. And then I never really, if I had a free day, I wouldn't ever consider telling somebody, oh, I can't come to that because I need a day off for myself. I would never. If it was clear in my diary, I would book something in.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I really realised just how important it is to have just like half an hour even to just, to yourself. You just don't get that anymore. And I think I never really thought about that either.
How was your pregnancy experience? Did anything surprise you?
Pregnancy, I didn't love being pregnant.
Okay.
I wish I was one of those people who really did. I think it's such an amazing thing. I think I can't believe how amazing a woman's body is. Like, I think that was probably the overriding. I just never really considered it. You see pregnant women out and about and you don't really give it a second thought until it happens to you. Things that surprised me, when I first got pregnant, I naively assumed I'd feel sick straight away.
Got you.
I had a couple
Which is
of
what
weeks.
we're told, yeah.
Had a couple of weeks. I was like, I feel fine. I was like, oh my God, this is great. I mean, little did I know. Then all of a sudden, at about 5 weeks, I started to get really bad pains that were kind of leaving me doubled up. So I panicked a bit. We had to go to hospital. We got an early scan.
Okay.
And then they did an internal scan, said, yep, you're pregnant. And I was like, well, what? Is there anything wrong? They said, no, it's just kind of the way you are.
Okay.
And I do feel like, as in, basically, I was getting kind of a pain near my ovary.
Okay.
And I think it was just where my body had, got pregnant, and it was just working through things.
Okay.
After a week or so, it stopped.
All right.
So everything was absolutely fine. But I do feel like that kind of narrative during pregnancy of, well, it's just the way you are. And there's no real answers to some things felt quite... For someone like me, who's a control freak, I like to know the ins and outs of everything. I'm like,
Same.
but I don't. I'm like, but why? Why is there this pain?
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
oh, you'll be fine. It's just the way you are. Everything looks good. It's like, no, but
What does that mean?
I need to know why.
Yeah.
So I found that quite difficult. And then actual pregnancy was fine. I felt really sick at the beginning. The year I got pregnant, I also had 10 weddings and 6 hens to go to. So it was a slog. And then I got pregnant halfway through the year, so I still had about 5 weddings and 3 hens left. And not drinking at a wedding when everybody around you is drinking and you're all so tired and aching.
Yep. And if you're not telling people just then as well.
So we had a couple of weddings where, we weren't really telling people.
Yeah.
So that was hard, because then you're also doing this weird, and I tell everyone everything. I'm such an oversharer. But I was like, it's still a little bit early. So that was hard. And then we had a wedding abroad and I felt so sick. I literally only ate chips for the entire time we were away.
Yeah.
So that was quite hard. And then just you realise how annoying people are when you're not drinking and you're pregnant. But did them all.
Yeah.
Then at the end of pregnancy, I remember the middle kind of section wasn't too bad.
Okay. Second trimester sort of vibes.
Second trimester was pretty okay.
That's when you feel
I actually
amazing.
I thought I'd be a bit kind of uncomfortable, I guess, about the way I looked, but I actually wasn't. I felt quite good about it. I felt like, I got some stretchy jumper dresses and things and I felt fine. So that was nice. And then the third trimester, I just felt so heavy and so tired, and working, my job at that point got super busy. We were, we had a new team starting under me that I was trying to kind of bring on. I had a huge handover to write. There was kind of my team from the US flew over to meet me, and then they wanted to do like a 3-day, in office
team building thing, bonding,
which was, any other time would have been amazing. But by this point, I was like 37 weeks pregnant, so exhausted. You're not sleeping well at that point.
Nope.
And then I also got pelvic girdle pain.
Yeah, same. That's always fun.
Oh my God. That was like...
Sitting down, just even opening your leg. Yeah. Actual agony.
Agony. Yeah. I had no idea about any of these kind of symptoms. I knew nothing about pelvic girdle pain. And it was just a constant low pain that I was like, I'm so sick of this now. Then Mabel was 10 days overdue.
Okay.
Which, like, oh my God.
Just get this baby out.
I was so miserable during those 10 days. Because I think as well, because of the pelvic girdle pain on top, I couldn't walk. I couldn't go for a walk every day. I couldn't even walk to the end of my street without wanting to scream in pain. Yeah. So I literally was just watching Married at First Sight Australia. Thank God there's about 55 episodes for every series. So I just did that in the run-up. I was so miserable. Like anyone who spoke to me during that time, I apologise because I was like, get this baby out of me.
I've had enough.
Yeah.
Do you remember what birthing was like, that whole period? Labour, birth, that side of thing?
It was... We didn't have the best experience.
Okay.
I actually went into labour in Pizza Express.
Lovely. Oh, fun.
Not fully labour. I wasn't on the floor, eating dough balls whilst I was pushing. Not quite that far. But yeah, this is a really long story, so I'll try and keep it brief, although I'm not great at keeping things brief. I was 10 days overdue. Yeah. My best friend, we'd had a sweep, which was not fun. Then we'd gone to hospital to have conversations about induction. Okay. There was a bit of confusion at the hospital about whether I would do it right now or wait and whatever.
Is that what you wanted to do as well? Or
yeah, I was. No? I wanted to wait. I wasn't crazy about being induced. Yeah. Just because.
Yeah, I'm not pro induction. Yeah, so if it's your choice, amazing. And I understand sometimes medical emergency, sure.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the idea. I was like, if we can wait and there's no problems, then I would rather wait. We went in for a second sweep and they'd said, and I'd started to kind of get a couple of niggling pains that morning, but nothing, how they say they need to be X amount in a certain amount of time before you're officially in labour.
I could never work the maths out. It was ridiculous. I mean, go on.
I'm not a numbers person either, so I'm like, this is just a lot.
Yeah.
But they were like, they did the sweep. They were like, your cervix is nowhere near ready, blah, blah, blah. I was like, honestly, so fed up. I looked like a mad woman. I was in a tracksuit. I had barely washed my hair. I looked insane. Then we'd got home that day and I'd been having a few pains, but not close enough together. I was like, no, nothing to worry about. My best friend called me and was like, you're miserable. You're sick of staring at your four walls. We're going for dinner. Okay. I was like, I honestly look like I'm insane. She was like, it's fine, you're pregnant, come to dinner.
That's what besties are for. Fantastic.
She picked me up. Amazing. We went to Pizza Express. I said to my husband, like, I'm going for dinner. He was like, yeah. I think by this point he was like, someone get this girl. I make this girl okay. So we went to Pizza Express. We were there for like an hour and a half, and during that time I must have had like 5 or 6 contractions. Wow. And then my best friend was like, right, well, we're going to get the bill because you're in labour. I was like, okay. So got home, started timing them. They started to ramp up. Okay. Anyway, but then it's so difficult because no matter what anyone tells you, you've never done this before. Yes. It's such a vulnerable position to be in. Yep. So we started time and then rang the hospital. They said, wait as long as you can. But I'm in my head like, well, am I about to give birth? I don't really understand. Anyway, we left it till about 1 a.m. I was like, they were getting a bit more, intense. Unmanageable. Yeah. Yeah. And then in the car on the way to hospital, they ramped up a gear, got in, they'd checked me out and they said, you're only 2 centimetres. Okay. But by this point, so the way that I can only describe it, I mean, I'm speaking to, I know, a lot of mums who've gone through this already and know, but is that the actual contraction is obviously very intense, very painful, but then you get the kind of respite of nothing and then you have another one. By the time I got into hospital, I was getting no respite. So it was like a constant contraction, which kind of suggested that my body was at the end of labour, but my cervix was only 2 centimetres dilated. So they weren't marrying up. So normally they'd send you away until you're 4 centimetres or whatever. Right. But they were like, we want to monitor you because we're not happy that you're getting no kind of ease. They put me in a room for about 45 minutes. It was like horrific. And then they said, they hooked me up to the machine, gave me an injection. I'm probably not describing this in the right medical terms, but they gave me some injection that was the most amazing thing I ever had that slowed down the contractions.
Okay.
So then there was like one every 6-7 minutes. So I could deal with that.
Yeah.
Hooked me up to monitor me, but they were concerned that every time I was having a contraction, the baby's heart rate was dropping.
Got you.
Carried on to monitor me. The problem with the injection is it starts to wear out after a little bit of time. They gave me a second one, but you can only have 2.
Got you.
So then it slowed down again. Then they moved me to the labour ward. I was still, I remember the midwife checking me over. She was like, oh, you're almost 3. I was like, I'm still 2, aren't I? She was like, you're still 2.
Man, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is never going to end. I was begging for an epidural. They said they couldn't get me an epidural till the morning.
Okay.
So, but then the second injection started to wear off, and then they were coming back quite intensely. It wasn't fun. I remember they'd said to me, this might end up in a C-section.
Okay.
I was like, I'm personally not precious about that. I was like, however, get her out in the safest way possible.
Of course, yeah.
I was like, I honestly don't care by this point. I really didn't care. Anyway, fast forward to around about 7:45 in the morning, and all I really remember is the doctor came in and said, she kind of, I think basically the heart rate, because the contractions have come back constantly, the heart rate was dropping quite a lot, and then they lost it completely.
Okay. Oh,
so all I really remember is him saying, strip her, we're going to theatre.
Okay.
2 midwives kind of stripped me off, put a gown on me. I remember sitting on the bed. Somebody came in and said, can you walk to theatre? I was like, yeah. And then they said, we've got no time to sign anything. So I think they were just kind of talking me through, you know, like,
what's
do you consent to X, Y, and Z? I cannot remember anything this person said to me. If they'd have said, at the end of this, we'll chop your head off, I would have said,
yes, please
consent. Do. Absolutely, no worries. So I got into theatre, and there was kind of red flashing lights. It kept saying emergency, emergency on the speaker.
Oh my goodness.
So everybody was rushing around. I cannot fault the people in theatre. They are miracle workers. It was like the most well-oiled machine I've ever seen in my life. They were incredible. And weirdly, I don't even remember being scared. I remember feeling relieved. I think I was so relieved that this was going to come to an end, and then the baby would be out and I wouldn't be in pain anymore.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I remember thinking. Okay. And then because I was having contractions, you have to be still for an epidural. I was kind of, they sort of had to hold me down a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Gave me the main thing I remember them saying, and I think this did frighten me, was just before they said, what's the heart rate? And somebody just said, it's undetected. And then it all happened very quickly. But then I laid down on the table. Honestly, within a minute, she was out.
Okay.
Which was amazing. Started crying immediately.
Which is what you
want. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was actually, at that moment, worse for my husband, which I know is quite a big thing to say because I'm the one being cut open. But I was so oblivious. It was all such a blur. I was in so much pain. I didn't really know what was happening. I didn't know at the time. He'd got pulled aside and said that they've had to rush 2 doctors in because they think the baby might need to be resuscitated because they'd lost her heart rate. So he was obviously in a complete state of panic because you're helpless as a man as well.
Watching what's happening.
But fortunately, everything was absolutely fine. She came out crying immediately. I was just so relieved that was done. And then, then we started this crazy journey.
Oh my gosh. What were the early weeks like for the both of you as well? Did he ever express anything to you soon after everything had happened? If that makes sense, like, baby's here, you're now settled. Did he then relay all that information to you, or did he kind of save that for a bit later?
No, he did. Yeah. I think we both really struggled because of the birth at the beginning. I think we felt so. For me, I don't think it really hit me till a couple of days after what we'd been through. Whereas for him, I think he was just so protective and worried about us. And I think it made us quite anxious parents at the beginning.
I get that.
Because
that's such a traumatic start.
And I think when you have a birth that, you know, I know women have been through way worse than me. I don't want to pretend that, you know, I've had it terribly, but it wasn't great. My experience wasn't great. And I think the thing when you have a birth like that is you've got no time to process it because you are then obviously thrown into looking after this baby.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of work we probably both still need to do surrounding it, if I'm really honest about it. I do think it made us quite anxious at the beginning. And then we had a bit of a, God, this is going to sound really negative. It is wonderful being a mum. Just so everybody knows, I'm obsessed with her and it's amazing.
Honesty is all that is required on this podcast, so it is what it is.
But we then had, so the next kind of obstacle was breastfeeding.
Yeah, which is a challenge if you have no reference. It was hard for me. I had no reference.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be tough.
So again, didn't know what I was doing with it.
Yeah.
I think as well, just to backtrack slightly, I think when you're pregnant, you can only really think of the birth. Nothing is really thought past birth. I genuinely was like, I've got to get through this massive, big life milestone, and then the rest will come easily to me. And when it didn't, that was really difficult for me. But we tried. So I was before I had her, I was try breastfeeding. If it works, it works. Great. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Alternatives, yeah.
And then hormones came into play, and then my world went insane. But my daughter was tongue-tied, which we kind of thought might happen because my husband and I were both tongue-tied as well. Again, no one really flagged it to us. I mentioned it in hospital, and they said, "Oh, you need a professional to officially diagnose that she's tongue-tied." I mean, you could there was no denying she was tongue-tied. It was so obvious, which sometimes can prove a problem with breastfeeding.
Yes, latching and things.
However, she latched really well, which was great. She was feeding really well. Everything was fine. But I was in a lot of pain. And all of the advice that I'd been given was, it does hurt a little bit at the beginning, but you get used to it. So obviously, I'm just assuming, well, this is normal. Of course. We get home. The day my milk came in was a really, really hard day. I knew I'd feel a bit down on that day. We'd spoken about it. You know, I'd spoken about it with friends about how that day can be a difficult day. Yeah. It really, really was.
It's a day when they're on you the whole time, right? And they don't
So she wanted to feed, honestly, every 15 minutes. Yeah. And I was in so much pain. It was hurting me so bad. I was flinching every time she would come near me. I just really, really didn't enjoy those first few days. And I really regret that now. I'm really upset for that version of me.
Why though? You didn't know what to expect. And if did anyone talk you through breastfeeding though? Really?
Not really, no.
There we go.
A midwife had kind of told me this is what you do.
Yeah.
And then I got told by the visiting midwives, she's feeding really well.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but no one ever asked how I was.
How you do, yeah.
It was always, baby's feeding well. Oh, she's a good weight. She's putting on good weight. She's latching well. No one asked, but how are you?
Yeah.
And I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And I found it really hard, and I was in so much pain. And because at that age they want to feed so often.
Yes. Yeah.
I just felt like, how can other women do this and I can't do it? And I think your hormones are all over the place anyway, but I just felt like a failure from the get-go. Okay. And then when she was 7, 8 days old, so it was a week after, I'd gone upstairs, and my husband had called me and was like, you need to come down, she's vomiting blood. Aye. So obviously immediate panic, have no idea what we're doing. I call 111, they say you need to go to A&E straight away. We've gone back to the scene of the crime, the same hospital we gave birth in, that 7 days before we'd had this quite traumatic experience. We were in A&E for 8 hours before we were seen, because it was a Friday night, it was children's A&E, it was really busy. We finally got seen at 2 a.m, and what they'd said is that she was absolutely fine, thankfully, but I'd been bleeding internally because where she's tongue-tied, as much as she'd been latching well, she was, for want of a better word, sucking so hard that she was basically kind of really hurting me. So her body was doing the right thing. It was rejecting my blood, taking the milk. But it hurt so much. And basically I then said to the doctor, well, what do I do now? And the response was, well, carry on breastfeeding. And I was so broken at this point. I was like, I don't know, I can't carry on. Anyway, we tried for a couple more days. I then bought a machine to express. Yeah. And then I said to the midwife, I'm going to do some combi feeding. And now the midwives were really respecting my decision. They were like, whatever's best for you as a family, which I know is so much better than previous generations. I know my mum's generation, it was very much breastfeeding is the only option. But what I really feel like with this conversation, I'm really passionate about it, is that as much as they were like, this is your decision, there was no help with it. There was no guidance with it. I didn't know what to do. Do I warm formula up? Do I not warm it up? What do I need to sterilise? How often do I give it? Like, I knew nothing about formula because I'd never done it before. I really just wanted somebody to talk me through it and tell me, like, this is the right decision for you, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really get that support. And it wasn't until my sister, who's got a little one 7 months older than my daughter, she came round with my mum and they saw me, and I was, this was kind of, I know, couple of weeks in now.
Yeah.
And I was just like a shell of a person.
I need help.
And they were like, you're not doing this anymore. Like, my sister spoke my husband through formula, and then we combi fed I would express and formula feed for about 6 weeks. And then naturally, I think I was getting less and less. So we ended up just going straight on formula. But it was, if you can do breastfeeding, I think it can be a magical magical experience. But it really ruined the first 6 weeks for me.
No, it's hard. I think people don't tell you how hard it is. It's just that it's expected to work. The colostrum comes through, that's fine. Then your milk comes through, that's fine. This is how it latches in. Is, the whole burger thing, like you're shoving a burger in a baby's mouth, that's it. They'll latch in and off you go. I don't think people tell you how hard it can be, how difficult it can be, especially if you haven't done it before and you don't have a frame of reference. I knew the only thing I thought I would struggle on would be breastfeeding, and that is what happened. And it's because I knew I haven't done it before, so it's not gonna, I don't understand what's meant to click. So I was lucky enough where there was a children's centre, and there are a few in my borough, but not every borough has this, which again was a shocker to me. But I had breastfeeding sessions where I could go and actually sit with someone. I had it once, but she really, really talked me through it step by step by step. And then they introduced like a nipple shield as well, and then we figured it out. So I think it took me 3 months to kind of like really get in the groove of it, and then we're not using the nipple shield anymore, and here we go. But I had someone take that time. I've also had some friends who in the hospital, they had a midwife who would literally give me your breast, this is what you do, etc. But if you don't have that attention to detail, then you're kind of screwed, I think, especially if you do want to breastfeed but you don't know where to go. And I know not every resources are a question, time is a question, depending what kind of midwife you have. I understand that there are all of those factors and variables to consider, but if it's really easy for you, as in like 1, 2, 3, bam, phenomenal.
Absolutely.
If it isn't, you're really just out here in the wilderness, and then you're already in the trenches of the first few months of being a new mum, especially if it's your first. Like, it's a fucking lot, basically.
And I think as well, it's like, it's trying to show you early, because we got Mabel's tongue tie cut after about 2 weeks. We went privately because the wait on the NHS was a lot. And I remember the lady there had said, do you want me to try this again? By this point, I was so broken, and my hormones were all over the place. I'd already felt like a failure. I was like, I can't try this again and it not work. I will literally be, I can't do it anymore. I think I'd not enjoyed any of the first couple of weeks, and it's so sad. And I think by that point I couldn't try again. And I think as well, it's like you almost need that support within the first couple of days, because it is crazy. It's a crazy time, that first bit. And I'm sad that I couldn't recognise that it's not failing. I know it's not failing.
Yeah, I have to say,
I know it isn't now, but I think I did not appreciate how insane hormones go either. And I think that just, gave me false facts in my head that, other women can do it. And then I'd spoken to a couple of friends, and they were like, oh, it is really hard at the beginning, but then we did it for a year, and I was like, I literally can't do this. And that it did take its toll on me, I think.
No, I hear. I'm glad that you did what was right for you and family and what worked best. And I found you agree with that, and I'm sure that offered like huge relief. It
was a relief, once I'd accepted that this is what we were going to do, and we got into the swing of it and we got into a routine, it did feel like, okay, this is
what you're going to do
much better.
I guess once you started to find your groove a bit and find your feet a bit, what if anything shifted the most for you? Whether was it identity or your relationships with work, your creativity? What, if anything, shifted for you?
Weirdly, I thought I would really struggle being on mat leave, because work had been my thing. I was like, I don't know what to do if I don't work. Yeah. And I think when I left work 2 weeks before my due date, and then she was 10 days overdue. So I had almost like a month off.
I can see you just go back into it, and then she was 10 days late.
Just to reiterate, that time was awful. And I think I found that quite difficult because I had nothing else to do. Yeah. So I was like, someone else is doing my job. Someone stepped into my shoes. They're all going to think they're better than me, etc., etc. Just natural, silly thoughts. But the second she got here, I honestly didn't think about work for the next 6 months. I just didn't have the mental space to do it. There is so much to do. And there are even the times when, because it can be at the very beginning, there are times when it's quite isolating. But I'm really fortunate. I had a really close support network around me. My sister, my best friend, our other best friend, we've all got kids, in a similar time frame, which is, I know I'm so lucky. Yeah. So I had them around me, and then my daughter's never been the great sleeper, so it's not like I had hours on end.
Like her mother?
Yeah. As my mum keeps reminding me, she's like, this is payback. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Thanks, Mum.
So I never really had hours on end to kind of to myself. So I just didn't have the mental space to even think about work. Okay. And I found that really refreshing. Yeah. I really do think that, I don't think my relationship with work has always been the healthiest. And I do think having a baby has made me reevaluate that. And I think that's been a real positive.
Amazing.
The biggest shift for me, I do think, has been identity. Okay. Because it's I feel like I've now got two sides of my brain, and it's like I'm two different people. I'm mum, and then I'm work person. And I think as well, I met up with some mums on mat leave that you naturally meet at various things. And I think what I found really difficult is when we'd meet up, obviously the only thing we have in common are our babies. So naturally the conversation would fall to sleep routines or feeding or, et cetera, et cetera. But I was like, but I'm so much more than this. I like to think, quite an interesting job. I'm like, but no one really necessarily asked about that side of me. And I found that quite alien. I found that quite difficult because I'm like, I don't want to use the phrase just a mum. A mum is incredible and the most insane job in the entire world. But I was like, there's so many layers to me that I just felt like no one was interested in anymore. And I get it. I understand that babies become the forefront of most conversations, especially on mat leave. But I just found that quite difficult to come to terms with.
I hear that.
And I think that was probably the biggest shift for me.
I see. How did you navigate, or how did you deal with that, or not necessarily find a piece to it, but how did you find a way to balance the two?
I think I just made sure that the friends that knew me before I was a mum, I kind of wanted to keep those relationships up. So I definitely did try to, check in or message those people. Like, how's work with you? Tell me everything about X, Y, and Z. Because I needed to dip my toe into life outside of being a mum. Yeah. So I would I hope my friends still think this, that I tried to kind of maintain those relationships and ask about things that weren't, sleep routines and whatever. Yeah. So I think I tried to do that. I think my husband and I would always try to talk about, I've got we have a relationship of, yes, our daughter is everything and she rules every conversation, but we'd try to be like, oh, have you seen in the news today X, Y, and Z? Or what did you do at work today? And I tried to always bring the conversation out of that a little bit, just to remind myself that, I do have an opinion. I do have a, brain. It might be completely muddled, but a brain other than how much formula does she need today?
Got you.
So, I think I tried to do that during mat leave.
What did motherhood unlock in you?
Oh, that's a very good question. What did it unlock in me? I think it's a different kind of love. Okay. It's a different kind of... I've got such a close family and a really close-knit group of friends. And I love them all dearly, but there's never been, I guess slightly with my sister, but that kind of, oh my God, I have to kind of protect this being with every inch of me, and I want to make sure she sees the good in the world. And the world's been so tough over the last couple of years, and there's been so much negativity. And I think, I'm so desperate that she sees the good in things. Okay. And I think I've now tried to see the good in things. Like the news is so depressing. I work in media. I see I'm subjected to it all of the time. So I often see the negativity. And then I think I'm trying to look for stories that bring the joy so that she knows there is still joy out there. No, so I definitely think it's unlocked a more positive side of me.
Okay, I hear.
And I think because I naturally am quite a negative person.
I was going to say, you said you're a glass half empty.
Yeah, I am naturally. So I'm trying to kind of see the positives and be a bit more positive, I think. I definitely think it's unlocked perspective, I think has probably been a huge thing for me. I think, again, pre-motherhood, I would get so preoccupied with work was a be-all and end-all. Yeah. You know, I would have deadlines that, you know, and I'm not saying I'm now lackluster at work. That it's just I've had to put in boundaries because ultimately, you know, you cannot do it all. And I think that's been a difficult lesson to learn, but it has given me perspective that I do think is a healthier way of living than I was doing before.
Okay. This touches on what I wanted to ask. I was going to say, you obviously work in a very high-pressured, fast-paced environment. How are you juggling that with being a mum? How are you finding it? You've just said you've placed more boundaries in place.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It's hard, I will say. I think I previously said I'm very much a give my all to something. Everything takes 100% of me. And now I can't give 100% to work all of the time. When I'm at work, of course, that is, you know, I want to do a good job. I pride myself on being a good editor, being a good content director, and I get a lot of joy from that. But there are some times when something's got to give, and I think that's been really hard for me to come to terms with, because I was the girl who prior to this would stay late in the office to finish something because I want to make sure it's perfect, and some things just you have to let go. And that does not come easily to me.
I get you. I hear that. I'm the same. So I think I'm still, I don't know what I'm hanging on to, but I think I'm still, if it means I'm staying up late, then I am. Like I try to work smart. I've got these amount of hours. I have got to nail what I've got to nail. I've got to get it done. If not, it goes into the to-do list or whatever, but then it's extending. So sometimes I'm like, I'm pushing it where I'm sacrificing sleep or I'm doing whatever else. I'll schedule my emails and I'll do whatever I can to save time. But something's gonna give, and I'm doing this. I'm still hanging on to this idea of balance, but I can do more. And it's like, well, if you start to fuck up the system, I'm gonna pay the price. So I'm just
I mean, this is probably not the healthiest, but I'm also I'll pick her up from nursery. Then in the kind of 2 hours that we get before bedtime, I try to kind of be present with her, but then we'll put her to bed, and then I'll end up jumping on, doing a couple of extra bits, which again, probably not a great way to be, but it's kind of the way I have to manage it at the moment, because I don't want to be working the whole time I'm with her or be on my phone, as we spoke about earlier, about screen time and things like that. So I want to be as present as I can when she's there, which then inevitably means I have to jump on and do a couple of late nights or get back to some emails and things. So yeah, it's hard. I'm very much, I mean, I'm sure this has been said a million times on this podcast, but I'm very much a millennial woman who grew up thinking we could all have it all. And I honestly think that is the most damaging myth that has been spread for our generation, because I just don't think you can have it all at the same time. Something has to give. I can't. Otherwise, I think where I have tried to juggle it and equal, I'm a shit employee and then a shit mum. And then I don't feel good about anything. And actually, some days I'm full on work mode and I have to focus on it. And there's other days where I'm like, actually, that's got to take a back seat because I'm all about my daughter today. And I've got to come to peace with that. But the perpetuating that narrative of women can have it all, I honestly think has driven me insane. And I just think we all need to come to terms with, like, yes, you can, just not all at the same time. You cannot do everything.
I've had to come to an understanding, not at the same time. That's still, I find that very hard. My partner shared a post with me with the artist Pink was having a conversation with, I don't even know who she was talking to, but it was kind of like it was an interview. And she started to kind of break down in tears a little bit, but she was just saying it's impossible. She goes, this is why working moms don't do this. because she's obviously an artist. She's a singer. She writes, she tours, she puts on her shows. She's someone who doesn't cancel her gigs. She was saying she's performed with like separated shoulders, and I think she was getting some flack in the press where, oh, she cancelled something, so, you know, think of the fans and the money and stuff. And she's like, she does all the time, but at the same time she's also her mum, and she's touring and traveling, but she's also bringing her kids with her. So you get into your hotel at 3 a.m. in the morning, your babies are having to sleep on the bus or sleeping however they are, but you just look at them and like, this is impossible, why am I putting them through this? And then you kind of pick up and go. You wake up the next morning and you carry on. So like with us, because my background is very much, yes, I'm an actress, yes, I do music as well, my partner does as well, and it's amazing where we get to travel. Like we've been to some incredible places, both of us, for our work, and it's awesome. And when Zena came along, I understood that, yeah, I'm taking my baby with me, but then it's like, okay, she's gonna have the most incredible upbringing, I think, and she's gonna see the world, but is also understanding, okay, balance though. What does that look like? Because if she doesn't have to be on an 8-hour flight, 10-hour flight to wherever, she doesn't have to be. So then it becomes a thing of, okay, well, are we taking that job or not? And then even me, for me, career-wise, acting-wise, if it's a job that requires relocation, okay, great. But how does this work for the family? We've got to figure that out. And then also my partner, because he's still very much, he's working. He gigs a lot. So what does that look like for him? So those are the conversations that we're really having to sit and think about. My agent is included in this as well, so he understands what I can do or what to ask for when we're negotiating stuff. But on the music side, it's nuts. So when she was sharing that, it's like, this is the weight of it, to be someone who is self-employed or a freelancer, and even someone in a corporate space. I know this impacts them in a slightly different way, but this is the weight of what you're doing, because the more I'm spending away pursuing my career, doing X, Y, and Z, I'm never going to have those moments with my kid ever again. So how do you balance that, or where do you compromise that? So that is still a very bitter or hard pill for me to swallow.
100% agree. It's just, you're never, there's pros and cons of everything. And I just feel like I'm never kind of 100% sure of anything. It's like,
I get that,
should I, like, even with me, I mean, I'm in a completely different vein, but I'm fortunate enough to get invited to some events and things like that for my work, or
which is important.
There'll be a celebrity interview that I need to do, but it's at 6 p.m. and that's the time that I need to pick her up from nursery. So you're constantly juggling this. Oh, well, that might be good for this reason. Actually, it means that this, so we can't do X, Y, and Z. And it's just, it's weighs heavily on us.
What helps you when everything feels like it's too much?
My husband is really supportive. He is a really present dad. I think having our daughter has been the making of him. Which has been wonderful to see. So he is, and he does understand. Well, I've drummed it into him. I got very, angry on mat leave about how it's difficult for women, etc., etc. So he does understand kind of a lot of that. I've got, as I mentioned, a really close support network. 2 of my best friends and my sister have all got kids similar age. So, there is a nice kind of language that we all use around, the stresses of having kids and things like that. So I am really fortunate there. I don't think social media is very good for me.
Okay.
I think...
It's good to know about yourself as well.
Yeah, I feel like... The problem is, I know it's not good for me, but I still sit on it for hours on end. But I think a lot of my job needs me to be on social media. So it's a very difficult dynamic to have. I definitely need to sort it out. I think social media for me has been, I'm very much a comparison kind of person, and I really wish I wasn't, but I am. So I will go on to social media, see somebody doing this especially at the beginning when I had my daughter. Within the first, as I mentioned, the first 6 weeks I found incredibly difficult. And there were people on my social media who'd already been out and about with them, and I hadn't even left the house, and I found that so hard. And I remember my husband at the time being like, you don't know any context of this photo. This person might have gone home crying. She may have, it had been too much for them all.
It's
and
true.
I completely understand that. But when you're in that headspace where you're feeling vulnerable, you're feeling, exhausted, it's so easy to let those thoughts creep in. And I'm not very good at quieting them down. And I speak from somebody who is in the industry who gets it. I know that Instagram or other social media platforms do tend to show you the glossy bits of life and not all of the others. But yeah, I find it hard to believe that sometimes.
Okay.
And I know social media isn't good for me. So yeah, I would say speaking to my support network, sometimes just watching trash TV helps me. Like sometimes I just need to watch something that is just not even, I don't even really need to think about it, but it's on and people talking about, you know, like, I mean, I don't want to say Love Island is trash TV. I think Love Island is great, but sometimes like I just need to like switch off and watch something like that. Yeah, I would say that kind of gets me through.
I had on the podcast a lady called Meg, the wonderful Meg of the Postpartum Plan. She said something which was like shocking to me. She was like, she goes on social media to post whatever she needs to post in relation to her work, her job, and then she just switches off or she just deletes it. She puts it back on when she needs it. I'm like, what? She goes, their phones aren't in their bedrooms, they're elsewhere.
Oh my God,
so
I should do
they'll
that.
use like an alarm clock. So like old school. Can you imagine? I'm calling that old school. Wild.
An alarm clock?
Do you know what I mean? Crazy. No, but like, it's like, so they don't, however they cannot rely on their phones, they don't. It's elsewhere.
So
obviously
good.
it takes work and practice. And I was like, I'm going to try it. Have I tried it? I have not tried it. But it's like, that's a great way or a great hack for yourself to kind of combat that. I don't know what mine is going to be.
That is such a good tip.
Yeah. I don't know if I think I've got a good balance with me and my phone or me and my socials and things. But in a world where it's a tool for what we do and how we work, they're very much our best friends.
Yeah.
And they know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous. How do you think motherhood is currently portrayed online and in the lifestyle media? You've touched on it now a bit, but
I think it's really difficult to kind of get the full. There's so many nuances to motherhood. Everybody experiences things differently. I think we went through a phase when I was growing up. Certainly, it was, you know, every woman is going to be a mum.
Yeah,
you know, naturally that's just what women do. So I definitely think it's got better in terms of actually it's not for everyone. If you don't want kids, you shouldn't feel pressured to have kids. Yeah. I do think that there is becoming a better balance, especially in the women's lifestyle space, which is where I come from, in merging that kind of aspirational with the reality and the authenticity of what motherhood is. I think the issues for me within this kind of space are, I think that there kind of needs to be the middle ground, which I know is different for everybody, so I know it's not easy to kind of articulate, but I think we've gone one of two ways. Either motherhood's amazing and glossy and everything's great, which is the aspirational side, or it's, oh my God, this is all awful, I'm so exhausted all of the time, etc., etc. But I find that can sometimes feel slightly more performative, especially on social media, because it's like the depths of my despair of when Mabel wasn't sleeping and etc., etc. I wouldn't think of getting my phone to document it.
Got you.
But I equally think that there does need to be that realism and honesty about it.
Got you.
So it's that difficult balance. And I do think women's lifestyle media is certainly getting better at it.
Okay.
I think I just saw that Sean Welby from Capital posted a great video the other day of basically she videoed herself saying, you will see all of my glossy, glamorous work life things on my Instagram, because that's what Instagram's for. It's a visual platform. You're going to put the nice pictures on. I know I'm guilty of it. And she's like, but I need you to know that this isn't my life. Behind the scenes, some days I'm, you know, struggling, etc., etc. And I found that really a perfect balance of, okay, I don't feel like it's performative because she's not got a video of her crying in the laundry. Yeah. But she is actually acknowledging it and talking about it in a way of like, I just need you all to know this is not the total story. Yeah. So I think she struck a really nice balance with it. I think the issues around motherhood still come from societal pressures. Okay. And, you know, I come from a newspaper. It was quite a male-dominated environment. There was way more men working there than women, even though I worked on the women's pages. So that was a predominantly female kind of section. Yeah. But the expectation was very much still, you know, men go to work and women will stay at home to look after the kids. Okay. And, you know, even when you look at society in general, it's like I work full time, my husband works full time. If there's an issue at nursery, the nursery call me. Yeah. And you know, that's a society thing that we need to start. And I think women's lifestyle and the media can start to push, and we are starting to kind of push these narratives of like, actually, why is this? Let's question it. You know, there are two parents who made this baby. Why does it still fall to the mum? So there does need to be, we just need to keep pushing this conversation, I think. I think podcasts like this, where honesty is so important, I think is only going to keep fueling the conversation, but I do still think there's a long way to go.
Yeah. Okay, no, I hear that. I also know that it's a big question for like one editor to sort of touch on and speak on. And I'm glad to hear that for yourself anyway, you're seeing changes in conversations, people pushing the dial in a certain way.
Yeah.
Do you think the media currently, or women's media currently, is doing enough to represent all types of mums, your single mums or mums with no family support, or the ones that are village? Like, how do you think they're handling that side of the conversation?
I still think there is a way to go there.
Cool. Okay.
I think what I'm trying to do, and I'm sort of, we're only kind of starting to really push parenting content on POPSUGAR, is I think a lot of media, this is across the board, a lot of women's lifestyle media does tend to be quite London centric. And, you know, we live in London, I get it. Like, you know, I love reading all of these features, but I think sometimes people in, you know, the countryside in the north of England sometimes kind of feel feel forgotten in this kind of area. I think there is a huge amount that isn't being done about, you know, blended families, single parents, even infertility. I don't think is really you know, there are people like Elizabeth Day who speak so brilliantly on it, but I still don't think we've really cracked the language that we use around infertility. I think there's huge amounts of work to be done about race in motherhood, about maternity care, etc., etc. Birthing rates, we all know, are completely different. Not enough work is being done there. So no, I still think there is this idea of this kind of idealistic image of a family of, you know, mum and dad, 2 kids. Yeah. Live in an affluent area. Yes, it's difficult as working mums, etc., etc. But I do think more needs to be done about diversifying mothering content for sure.
Okay, I hear that. Do you think mums are over-informed?
In some areas I do, in some areas I don't.
Okay.
I felt like there was a lot out there about certain aspects and nothing about others. So I think the balance
is still out of whack.
Is still completely out of whack. Like I knew nothing about how much hormones would affect me after I gave birth. And yes, people talk about sleep. I mean, I read and saw a million different articles about getting your baby to sleep, and every single one has a completely different point of view. So it was too much. I found myself, and I'm sure you did it. I'm pretty sure every mum at 3 a.m. will Google things like,
of course,
you know,
is it okay if it's, or why does this, or how do you? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So there is too much information about certain things, but like when. Again, not to harp on about the breastfeeding, but when I decided to stop expressing, I had another huge drop in hormones, and I had a really, really bad day, or bad couple of days. And I honestly, I rang my mum, I remember, really upset, and I found it so incredibly hard, and I couldn't find any information on it.
Oh, I see.
It was only when I found like a Reddit thread, I think.
Okay.
So it was other mums talking to other mums who basically said that, yes, this can happen. In the same day that when your milk comes in, your hormones fluctuate. The same can happen. I think I stopped it too abruptly, etc., etc. But I had another huge drop in hormones. Couldn't find any information on it. Found it on a Reddit thread. Mentioned it to my midwife. Even my midwife was like, "Oh, well, that makes sense, really. Yeah, maybe." And I'm like, "Okay, but." How have we got a million and one things about baby sleeping, but nothing about the mums? There's not enough stuff, I don't think, about how mum's feeling. And like I mentioned earlier, like it was very rare that people would say, well, how are you? It's all about the baby, which of course is the most important thing. But I'm firmly of the belief that you can only be a good mum if you feel base level good in yourself, you know, and I mean base level in terms of getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth and being able to wash your hair.
Yeah.
If you can't do those things, you can't be the best mum. And I just don't think there's enough out there about that. Really.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. For sure, if mum's good, baby's good. I think people need to. I feel like there are conversations now moving towards that space or that understanding, and I think the more people actually seeing that, if mum is the primary caregiver at the very beginning of everything, then it's understanding that if she's okay, then baby's okay.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way thing. And I think people kind of, that perspective of that understanding needs to shift and shift faster so people get it more and get it a lot sooner. If you could change one narrative in the media about motherhood, what would it be?
That's a very
big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. What would I change that's the biggest thing in the media? I would probably say, again, I feel like it's more of a society thing, but I think it's the mental load that we talk about, and this is changing very, very slowly. But I do feel like the kind of narrative of like, not so much in where, sorry, I'm not explaining this very well. I'm thinking back to when I worked in newspapers, not necessarily the position I work in now, but I'm using my experience in that environment as a kind of jumping off point for a lot of other corporate businesses who work in various other things. I think there is still this kind of narrative of, you know, baby's sick, mum will take the day off work.
Got you, yeah.
You know, like I mentioned, baby needs hospital appointment or doctor's appointment for injections, mum will do it. And that is still kind of pushed, I think, with a lot of perhaps legacy media slightly more, but it's still very much that the woman is the default parent, and we need to come to this idea that, you know, actually mum and dad are equal. If mum works full-time and dad works full-time, then actually the load, everything needs to be shared, and it can't just be the nursery ring, mum leaves her job to go in sort it out. Why can't the dad do that? And I think there really needs to be that kind of changes across the board in so many workplaces. This idea of everybody going back into the office just doesn't work for working parents. I'm firmly of the belief that I think that is, again, completely unfair decision of a lot of businesses who haven't had to deal with family dynamics in the way that modern parents do. Yeah. So I definitely think that needs to change. And again, things like the Flex Appeal are incredible, and I fully support all of the work that they're doing. But that really needs to change. And again, women's lifestyle plays a huge role in that. I think we can really push that narrative, and we have been across the board. But I still think that there is a lot of legacy media that believes, you know, people do nothing when they work from home. And I think that's a really, really dangerous thing for parents especially.
And I think things like lockdown and COVID kind of really showed you that, oh, look, businesses do run when you work from home. It's okay. Yeah. So, I know there's a massive push to get everybody back in the office. So,
and it's just things like, you know, for me, I live just outside of London. It takes me an hour to get home. The maths doesn't work, because even if I went to the office 5 days a week, I don't get home early enough to pick her up from nursery. Yeah. So where, like, what all you're doing is pushing women out of the workplace. Yeah. And yes, I think women's lifestyle publications collectively are definitely pushing, I think, in the right direction for this. But you're kind of butting heads. Media butts heads a lot of the time with a lot of kind of legacy press that push against some political agendas, etc., that mean the only people that lose out are mums every single time. And it drives me insane.
I hear you. I look forward to that changing. Everybody's doing their bit. So as I start swearing at the camera, I'm not going to do that. I was like, no, don't do that. What would you want your daughter to understand about women and ambition? That's my last serious question. Then we can wrap up with some fun things.
What I think, I would love her to know that if you do something you love, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but honestly, if you do something that you love and you enjoy and you get fulfillment out of, that's all that really matters. Yeah. You know, I think I am doing that, and I'm really fortunate to do that. And I've always had the support that I needed to be able to do something that I really love and enjoy. Yeah. But, you know, the thought process for me was, you know, I was relatively academic at school. Of course I'll go to university. Of course I'll do this. And I don't necessarily think that's the right course for everybody. I think everybody's got different skill sets. So I really want her to know that find something that you enjoy, and that is going to give you the fulfillment that you need in your career. I also feel like she needs to understand that I'm really keen. I think ambition is a really attractive quality in somebody. So I do think you should be ambitious, but I also think ambition isn't only in the workplace. Ambition is in, you can, strive to, set up go and feed the homeless for X amount. I think ambition comes in many forms, whereas I think sometimes it's spread that it only means becoming the CEO of a company, and actually it doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'd want her to, and I want her to know, I want her to see her mum work hard. I want her to see that, we're working hard because now it's all for her. As much as I love to do it and I do think it gives me some purpose, ultimately
you're setting up for her.
I'm going to work because I want to be able to take her to Disneyland Paris next year. I want, it's a new dynamic I think we've got.
I hear you. All right, quick fire for you. Ready?
Yeah.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Ooh, a product or a ritual you swear by as a busy mum?
Oh my God, why can't I think of anything? Product I swear by. Do you know what? The SPF, glow screen SPF that's got a bit of a sheen in it, because when you've got no time to do makeup, a little bit of that makes you at least feel like you're human.
Fantastic. A podcast, show, book you're loving right now? If you've had time for any of those things.
No, I have. I've got a couple. The new Richard Osman Thursday Murder Club. I can't actually remember what the name of it is. The new one. Oh, it's so lovely.
Okay.
And makes me feel so like warm and fuzzy inside. I love that. Show that I'm watching. Actually, this is quite a good one to mention on this podcast. All Her Fault.
Oh,
which is on Sky
I haven't started yet. Okay.
It is so beautifully written.
Okay.
It is so well acted.
Yeah.
It's quite traumatic to watch as a new parent, but you can't stop watching it. And there are so many amazing nuances about the dynamic of men and women in as parents. It's brilliant.
Okay, I need to do that one. And the one truth about motherhood you'll never sugarcoat.
That it is really, really hard, but it is really amazing and it's really magical. But it's okay to have a bad day because not every day is sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, but it is magical and amazing. But
Jolie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, I appreciate your honesty so much. I mean, as a mum, as a woman who's leading in women's media, like your voice does shape what women are reading and seeing. So thank you for just giving us a bit more behind the scenes.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Ta-da! Thank you so much to everyone listening. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a mum who needs to hear it. I'm Rachel Addo, and I will see you on the next episode.